Hello, and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie Podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham. We're not... It's out of October. We don't have to do the stupid names anymore.
Justin Holly DeClue.
Oh,
No, not Christmas. We're in the nice in-between stage of November.
Yeah, but the Americans, they've got Thanksgiving coming up at the end of the month.
Yeah, in a few weeks.
Yeah, our false Thanksgiving has already passed.
That's crazy. So wait, ours is in October, right?
It's different every year, but it's always in October, yeah.
Right.
Where it lands, I think, is different.
Yeah, I was just saying, they get Halloween, then they get, a month later they get Thanksgiving, then a month later they get Christmas.
I think that's pretty good spaced out holidays when it comes to the fall season. Well, our Thanksgiving, I'm always like, what? It's Thanksgiving tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah, I never remember. I just get like an email from my mom, like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Like, oh, what?
What? Yeah. Well, we decided to take it a little easy this week and do something that I'm sure many people have seen.
It's not a bad movie, not even close.
No way.
It is pretty cheesy, though. It's Con Air from 1997. And I can't believe I had not seen this all the way through before.
I feel like I have, though. It's so weird. I've seen it in pieces. Justin, you played it at one of your movie marathons.
Yes, I did. It was the summer movie Mind Melter, and it's what ended the marathon.
Okay, so it was in the morning,
right? We tuned in the morning and caught like the very end. Then it started looping. So we watched the beginning as well, but I obviously missed the whole movie.
Yeah, it feels like, I watched it. I'm like, I feel like I've seen this before, but I haven't. Like, not in its entirety.
I'm surprised that you didn't see it theatrically when it came out, Colin.
I remember the trailer was all over the place, and I just thought it looked kind of cheesy, and I was like, whatever.
Well, you weren't wrong.
Well, you know what?
Whatever,
John
man.
Malkovich and John Cusack both hate this movie.
Really?
Yes. John Malkovich was upset, according to IMDb, because they kept changing the script, so he didn't have enough time to memorize his lines.
It's because they were making it perfect. That's why.
I mean,
you seem to say them pretty well.
This movie is actually amazing. It's really good. It's definitely not like for everybody, though. Like, it's a very specific brand of like 90s action movie.
It's the Bruckheimer brand.
Yeah, the Jerry Bruckheimer brand.
But the thing is, I was surprised, I guess because it's not Michael Bay, it never reaches that obnoxious level of Michael Bay. That's really a turn off.
The characters aren't like off-putting, even though they're all horrible criminals.
And it's shot in a way that's, it's very clear. It's not obnoxious.
There is some
can't really
style to it, though.
There is, but it's not over the top, and it's not in your face. And like,
it's also one of those movies that is like, it's kind of all the elements came together and worked. It's not like anyone who made it, other than maybe Jerry Bruckheimer, went on and did like great stuff. Like Simon West, who directed it, he did just terrible movies following this one.
That was so weird because I knew his name and I looked him up. And, he did The General's Daughter and then Tomb Raider, the first Tomb Raider. And then he just went to TV stuff.
Well, he did The Expendables 2, Stolen, the Nick Cage film. What did he do recently? He did Skyfire. Oh, he went to China and made films. Yeah, you've never heard of that one.
Why, though? It's so weird because he started out, I guess, as a music video director.
Yeah, he most famously directed the Rickroll.
Yeah, the Rick Astley music video, which I was like, wow, so pretty cool.
It's just so weird. It's such a strange career turn, like to come after Tomb Raider, which I thought was like a pretty big hit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess right after Tomb Raider, he made When a Stranger Calls. How did he get like in the pits right after that? That's very odd.
I don't know. It's just like nothing but TV stuff after that.
When a Stranger Calls is bad, right?
The odds.
Yeah, it's a remake. It's terrible.
It's a remake,
Lots of cat jump scares.
It's very weird. Something
do you think he did something? I mean, maybe he's just so good he had to direct the pilot of The Cape.
Well, I was like, maybe he just decided to take a step back. But no, you're right. Like, he did like three
he's
huge
continued
movies,
to work.
And he's working, but it's like almost like he's in director jail.
I think he was one of the guys that is always attached to stuff. I remember he was attached to a remake of The Blob a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, no, thank you.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, I think that Con Air, also, I think mostly because of the name, it has this like bad reputation that's this like really dumb, stupid movie.
Yeah.
Does it? I feel like everyone loves Con Air now. They're like,
I
the
think
good old days.
People in the know, like people who have seen it, love it.
I think a friend of mine, like who you know, she's a suburban mom and was like, oh my God, I love Con Air recently. I was like, not the person I would expect to like this movie. So I think that it has like crossover appeal as an action movie.
I think it's become beloved over the years.
I also think it was a cable staple, which is why it's become as well loved as it is. And it's not like a heavy R-rated movie or anything like that, so you can make a few easy trims and it can play endlessly on something like TBS.
I wonder if that's how I know it so well.
Probably.
You know, having
like
not,
you catch like the last 20 minutes or the middle 20 minutes.
Yeah, I've got like, 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, and then my brain just sort of like edits it all together into one movie.
A few more than a few like pretty violent scenes could easily be trimmed.
The Lightbox once did a series of Nick Cage movies, and they showed Con Air.
Did they really?
And me and my friends got yelled at for hooting and hollering too much throughout
give
it.
me a break.
This is the Lightbox. We don't approve of that type of reaction.
That's insane.
We weren't like playing MST3K or anything. We were just like laughing and cheering. And this film is all filled with those kind of moments.
I remember I saw A Simple Plan at TIFF one
and you
year.
were hooting and hollering.
They introduced Sam Raimi, and it was at the Roy Thompson Hall, so it was like a really kind of fancy premiere, and I was sitting front row, and Sam Raimi came out, and I was cheering and screaming, and I got like the death stare from this snob beside me, just like looked at me and was
It's
just
Sam
like,
Raimi.
how dare you? But the guy introduced him. He's like, the director of Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, woo.
There's nothing wrong with giving some kudos.
Yeah,
to
come
a
on.
beloved director.
The guy beside you just wanted you to sit there silently staring at Sam Raimi as he came on stage.
He was
Do a
doing
very
like his
quiet
little like
clap.
snap clap, like the hipster.
But then Sam Raimi flipped himself on stage, which
did.
caused you to jump up and be
He
woo!
did. He actually did a pratfall.
Is
He
that
did do a
something
pratfall?
He
always
did. He
does?
came out and he pretended to trip. So he did like a pratfall and stumbled on stage. And then he did his joke that he always does, like, if anybody lost like a wad of $1,000 bills with an elastic band, good news, I found the elastic band.
Oh man, he loves that joke.
I know.
And then right before he left stage, he's like, also, I'm a Trump man. Good night, everybody.
That was the big closer.
And then the snob guy was like clapping and hooting.
Oh, wow, he's a movie snob and a conservative. Woo. I will always remember being at a Fan Expo convention. This is the only stranger interaction that just befuddled me. Is I don't know how Guillermo del Toro came up, but the guy beside me is like, I'm the bigger Guillermo del Toro fan. He once gave me a Pan's Labyrinth t-shirt. And I was like, okay. I didn't ask you that question. Like, it's not a competition.
Also, I'm sure that is the gold standard of his favorite people in the world. People he gives Pan's Labyrinth t-shirts to.
But given, he probably means like he just threw it at him in a crowd or something.
He had a box.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
No, some girl in like a bikini shot it out of a shirt.
That's how Guillermo del Toro
shirt
did his Pan's Labyrinth screenings. He had bikini-clad girls shooting t-shirts out. Do I have any Mimic fans here? Motherfuckers!
Not to go off topic, but I finally read that Blade 2 review of
Harry Knowles.
No!
I read it today.
Just
The famous Harry
reprehensible.
Knowles.
Yeah.
Sorry, he should not be named like Voldemort. He'll show up if you mention his
I
name.
will have to say, people were like, "This is the worst article ever." And
Yeah.
Colin, you had told me like what it was before I read, but I was like, "I'm actually going to read it
It
today."
is
and
so,
yep,
I think it made me
pretty
physically
gross.
ill.
And I was like, why would April read? Oh, she's listening to the same podcast I am,
Yeah.
Talking Simpsons.
It was brought up on that, but I was on like another Reddit page of worst movie reviews.
yeah, that's
So
when I
was like,
stopped.
okay, I'll read it.
I stopped going to Cool News. After,
You're
after I
like,
read that.
I
I'm
have
done.
been offended. I will not be reading Harry Knowles reviews that reference female genitalia.
It was more about just like feeling physically ill and just like this image in my head that I couldn't get out. And I
Harry
just-
Knowles is just going at it.
Plus, he's like saying like he's
Whoa!
putting
We're a
Guillermo's
family
name full of mud.
podcast, April. Don't quote the review.
Sorry. Anyway, let's get back
People
to
are like,
Con Air.
what are they talking about? Search Blade 2, ain't it cool news? Do not read the review. Do not click on it. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, if you get put on some like list Some FBI watch list.
While we're talking about Harry Knowles, a pal of mine, Peter Kaplowski, went to one of his big marathons, and he's like, the 24-hour movie marathon, and he was like, the second half was like I was in hell. It ended with the last Hobbit movie at the end of 24 hours.
Oh,
The
no.
last Hobbit movie? Why
Yeah,
would
and
you
he
show
said that as it was playing, his friend Eastern looked down the aisle at Harry Knowles, and he's like, "Look at him! He's enjoying this. How's he enjoying this?" Can you imagine 24 hours of movie that end with the last Hobbit movie? That is torture.
The worst one of the Hobbit movies.
You know.
And it was the year of Fury Road, and the intros would always be like, "This is an action movie. People are really looking forward
my
to."
God.
A lot of chase sequences. Then the Hobbit plays. They're
Oh
like,
my
"No."
God. And you know you're going to be sitting through like 3.5 hours of this nonsense.
Awful. Anyway, Con Air. Back to it.
All right, Con Air stars Nick Cage.
Nick
and,
Cage is, what's his name again?
Isn't it like Cameron Poe?
Cameron Poe.
Oh, what a great night.
I mentioned how we had caught the very end and the very beginning recently. Same song plays. It's, It's the How Do I Live
Now,
Without You?
Did you guys know that the version that's in this movie is just a cover that they did for the film?
Really?
No.
Yes, that the original version, it was like really popular, hit the charts.
Oh, I heard it on the radio all the time.
But it's not this version. This version did get nominated for a Grammy, but I think that maybe like there was a weird dispute and they just got another singer to do it instead.
Like a
and it sounds
sound-alike?
very similar.
It might have something to do with the fact that Leanne Rimes was 14 when this song came out. So maybe because I heard, I'm listening to the version in the movie and I'm like, she doesn't sound 14. Like you'd think she would have a more higher pitched voice. So it makes sense. So they probably were like, we can't have a 14-year-old doing the love song of this violent action movie, where women
couldn't
are
it be
threatened
from
to
the
get
perspective of his daughter singing?
raped. Yeah. Anyway, I wonder if that had something to do with it.
Nah, probably money. I don't think they think that far through those kind of things. Jerry Bruckheimer looks up from his giant pile of cocaine and he's like, "Oh, we can't have a 14-year-old sing this song."
I think I also read it was nominated for Best Original Song.
Yeah, it
my
was.
God.
I mean,
Which
it's
is
a good
weird
song.
because what are the rules at that point? Because it is a cover and it can be nominated for Best Original Song.
I think as
Apparently-
long as it was recorded or written for the movie.
Yeah, as far as I know, for the Oscars, it has to be written for the movie. It can't be, from an album like years ago or something like that, and it can't have been used before.
So maybe it was written for the movie, but they didn't get
Yeah.
Leanne Rimes to perform it on the soundtrack. Which
Probably
does
something like
happen
that.
a
I
don't
lot,
know, yeah.
actually, on soundtracks for movies where they have a different singer sing it for the version in the movie than what is on the soundtrack. Yeah.
So we start with Nick Cage as Cameron Poe. He gets out of a war. You see like newsreel footage playing.
Yeah, it's like stock footage, and it narrated by Powers Booth. I'm pretty sure it's him.
I wonder if he was ever in the movie at some point.
I
Like,
was
why would he just be doing the narration?
Yeah, you kind of see, I don't know, Nicolas Cage, like, they're all the Army Rangers are like in a line. They're like all saluting and I guess just getting released to go home.
So I should say that Nick Cage, at this point in his career, he had, I believe, made The Rock by this point, and this year Face Off came out as well. And
Yeah.
what's interesting
It's
about
Been like
all
that
of this
same month.
is that he consciously went into these action movies. He's talked about it before, and he did it following his Oscar-winning role in Leaving Las Vegas.
Okay, yeah.
So it was
So
a
it was like
choice.
Leaving Las Vegas, right to The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off.
Wow.
The Holy
The
Trinity.
trifecta.
But I guess because he just wanted to do something different, I wonder,
I think that at the time he's like, I need money. Give me money.
Well, that too.
I just bought a castle in Scotland. It's got some
Too many
dinosaur bones.
skulls.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Face Off, one of my favorite action movies, and this one doesn't necessarily go as crazy. It's a different tone, but it's a similarly like very over the top, very
Yeah.
self-indulgent action movie.
Sure, yeah.
And it's
So-
just as fun.
In this opening scene, Cage meets his wife. They haven't met in a very long time. She's pregnant.
Okay, this whole scene is insane. Like,
Yeah.
I have to give the movie credit because it gets right into it. Like,
Yes.
there's no like.
They're meeting up for the
There's
first
no setup.
time, and then
Already, people want to kill them.
yeah, like so she's a waitress, and these guys are like, I have a crush on that waitress, and if she's making out with her husband in front of me, I'm just gonna have to beat him to death.
Yeah,
That's why we lost Vietnam.
Yeah.
Because of you.
They said that?
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
the guy goes, pussies like you that lost Vietnam.
Again, why is he a pussy?
I don't know. He's an Army Ranger.
They're just jealous of
He's
him.
been in this bar like 10 seconds, and already, these yahoos at the end of the bar look
And
like...
then when they get out of it, the Yahoos are already like breaking bottles against chain link
They've got a
fences.
knife. This thing like escalates to murder. Like,
And I love that it's like a music video director making this where you have the big oil thing in the background.
yeah.
It's
An
raining.
oil pump that's like moving, and it's like pouring rain, and it's like spewing fire. I was
it's
like, what is happening?
venting gas and everything. It's great.
It really reminded me of that scene in Vibrations where he runs into those
like,
yahoos,
hillbillies.
and they go to a construction site, and they're like, blah, ha, ha, how about we just like mess around and scare you with the... I mean, they don't go into the oil rig thing.
Yeah.
They're just like standing around.
But things really escalate so
Nick Cage's
fast.
wife is like, just get in the car.
But there's no reason
can't.
that these guys... But I don't understand. He gets arrested. He gets in a fight with these guys. The guy pulls a knife.
What do you mean you don't understand? It's very clearly explained because Nick Cage in the fight kills a man with like an open-handed like smash to the jaw.
No, I think it's like into his nose. And
went
he
up
pushes
the
the
nose.
bone into his brain.
Oh, into his
and kills
nose.
him.
And during the court trial, the judge is like, with your military skills, you are a deadly weapon and are not subject to the same law.
Wait, is this a thing?
no sense. But like it was
That is
clearly
not a
It was
thing.
clearly self-defense, and there were even witnesses.
There were witnesses all over this bar.
And not only that, but there's also in the bar that they came after him there.
Absolutely.
They were threatening him.
Where
but
are
no,
all these
because he's a
witnesses?
deadly weapon, he should have known better.
Sure they
And-
get. Yeah, the guy like picks up, the two guys that are left alive. The one grabs the knife and runs away, but his wife was watching this happen. There's a witness.
It was kill or be killed.
This would never
For
happen
Cameron Poe.
to a veteran in the States.
No, they
what
love
do you think the
veterans.
argument was, which is like, you should have just gotten in the car and driven away, man?
I don't understand.
He couldn't escape.
They
They were
attack him.
surrounding him.
It's like as soon as those people came up to him on the dance floor at the bar, like everybody would be on top of him. Like, how dare you talk to a fucking veteran like that?
Well, that's only... Colin, post 9/11, that's when everybody was
Before
like,
that.
our troops. In the late 90s, when this was happening, it was more like, why do we have soldiers? What do they do?
Okay, well this was 97, and he was in jail for 7 years. So this
Oh, so before that.
That
well,
would- that would have
maybe
been
Con Air
1990.
takes place in the future. Like Face Off.
Sure.
Well, because I guess he was supposed to come back from the Gulf War, right?
I guess
think
so.
that's
yeah,
what the
because
implication
that was around, that was
which
around
was
1990.
1991. So this movie would take place around 1998.
Yeah.
So yeah.
97.
So when he gets out, it's the future.
Yeah. Everyone has like hover cars.
That would explain a lot. Yeah, all the
They
laser
didn't
guns.
know when they made this that airplane security would go up 100 times.
Oh my God! Yeah.
They would
Well,
have-
we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but
oh, yeah.
I mean, Nick Cage in jail. He's having his own Raising Arizona moment. Essentially the same scene.
This is insane. I just wanted the entire movie to be him like just talking back and forth with his daughter via letter.
via voiceover.
As like the
voiceover.
jail has that like Hollywood riot jail where
Yeah, it
everything's on
does.
fire.
Throwing
everything's on
toilet
fire.
paper.
Where is this?
That's
And,
my
I-
favorite Tango and Cash jail, where like everything is on fire as they walk through. So good. Did we ever do Tango and Cash on this podcast?
No, we haven't.
We did watch it.
Oh,
not
I
too
love
long
Tango and
ago.
Cash.
Yeah, it's
Tango
really fun.
Cash.
It's a great movie.
But I love the back and forth. He's narrating, "Dearest daughter," but he has his accent.
Hey, he studied in Alabama to get it right, Colin.
April posted that
Apparently.
IMDb thing. That was so funny.
I feel like that was just made up.
He's got he's talking like a southern gentleman.
No, it changes.
Dearest daughter, I write to you this day.
It starts like that, but then it goes into like a New Orleans, Florida thing.
It's all over the place.
It depends. He's kind of switching based on who he's talking to.
Yeah.
So it's all been calculated. Nick Cage is not an improv guy. He comes prepared and readied with layers.
I mean, I will say that it did make the movie funnier, but I feel like it would have been a better performance if he just did not have this accent.
No,
Disagree.
I prefer
Disagree.
with an accent.
So Nick Cage looks so funny in this movie. He's in a white, I guess, sleeveless shirt. What is the term that we use?
like a tank top.
Tank
top. He got the long hair. I mean, the long hair makes his character in this movie. Sure. That shot of him getting off the bus and a gust of wind hits him, and he's like,
he looks like he's making love to the wind or something. Or
it's
such a good shot.
First time he's felt wind. They don't let him
That's
outside.
That's not true.
They don't let him outside.
Either that or he just farted and he's like,
But you know what? Nick Cage, he makes that face every time he goes out. He's like, oh yeah, just orgasmic.
He looks so happy.
I can smell the wind outside.
And so he also has a cellmate who his best friend, played by
Bubba Gump.
Forrest Gump's
Not
Bubba.
Bubba Gump. Bubba.
I'm going to say his name incorrectly. McKelty Williamson as Mike Baby-O Odell.
I think so.
I don't recall him calling him Baby-O, but isn't it funny how everybody has a funny nickname in this?
It is funny because I remember him referring to him as Baby at one point, and I was like, what the hell?
I remember that as well. I was like, oh, I guess it's just what he calls everybody.
Like, they're very close.
But yeah, this actor, like, he's good in this, but I feel like he deserves more than just, like, the black best friend. I feel like he got typecast. Is that probably a lot? And, like,
he does the exact same scene he does in Forrest Gump later on in the movie.
It's like, come on.
Or he's dying. Yeah, he's kind of sidelined with, I don't know, he needs his insulin.
That's his storyline. He has diabetes, so later on he gets his insulin taken away from him, and he's just like immobilized on the plane for. Like,
I need help! Please help me, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna lift you off the plane. Oh, sorry, wait. Wow, sir, I'm going to lift you off the plane.
I say, it's like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah. He's sounding like
boy.
Sounds like Doc Holliday in Tombstone or something.
So we got to talk about the great job the casting agent did on this movie.
Amazing.
Is there a better cast of a 90s action film than Con Air? I would say nay.
This is amazing.
Not with this many great people.
I remember even
cast.
the trailer when that first came out and you were watching it in the theater and just like all the names would come up and they'd show like, oh my God, this guy. Oh.
You're like, Cole Meany. I love that guy.
Hey,
Dave Chappelle. I don't even know him yet.
Dave Chappelle in jail where he deserves to be.
we didn't know. I didn't know that Dave Chappelle was in this, so that was a surprise. But also, I didn't know Cole Meany was in this. And
are you a big Cole Meany fan?
I'm a big Star Trek fan. So
that's right. He's a big Star Trek fan.
Seeing him in anything.
Come on, like The Commitments.
No, I haven't seen him in anything other than Get Him to the Greek.
All those Irish
And
movies.
he was in Law Abiding Citizen,
That's
which
right.
I forgot.
And this movie does an amazing thing where halfway through it's like, you thought you got all your character actors? Here's a bunch of other ones.
No.
It's like,
we're stopping off to get some more.
Yeah, they pick up more.
But we have, right from the get-go, we have John Cusack as a U.S. Marshal who's, trying this new experiment, I guess, where they're putting them all on a plane.
Yeah,
I think the experiment is that they're taking them to a super prison.
Yeah, it was like some
the
Supermax
best
prison.
jail there is.
So, yeah.
So we got Ving Rhames as Nathan Diamond Dog Jones.
He's great in this, I have to say.
You've got John Malkovich as Cyrus the Virus.
So he's like the ringleader.
So
and Ving Rhames is like the second in command, I guess.
You've got Danny Trejo as Johnny 23 or something because he's raped 23 women.
And we have... I like the fact that John Malkovich, you need to like him a little bit so he doesn't like the rapist.
Yeah.
And it's like, I
and
guess.
He also, later on, he's like, oh, don't kill those cops. That's just because, they were useful to him. But, he's not like a despicable monster. But you still...
No one is despicable in this movie like they would be in real life unless they're meant to be killed early on.
Yeah.
We also have Nick Chinland, last seen on this podcast in the Chronicles of Riddick, the guy that's not Ron Perlman.
Toons.
Not Toons is the driver.
He's Willie Bedlam in this movie.
He's great, actually. I did not recognize him.
He's better, I think, in this than he was in maybe Chronicles of Riddick.
I love him in Riddick. But you know what? He's got the same pointy sideburns in this.
Yeah. You think that's like a demand when he goes on set? He's like, you get the pointy sideburns or you get nothing. You don't get the chin.
Well, he's from New Zealand, I think, right?
Oh, that makes sense. Or Australia. Isn't that where they shot the second Riddick, which is probably why he's in it?
He's Australian.
Yeah.
He's like a Kiwi or Aussie. I don't know.
Oh, if he's New Zealand, he better be in those Lord of the Rings movies.
Also,
elves don't have pointy sideburns.
Yeah, that's why they wouldn't let him in.
God's sake. How about hobbits?
So, literally every character has a nickname.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Chappelle
not
is
the guards.
Pinball.
You have Rachel, is it Tykedon? who
Rachel
is probably
Ticotin?
most famous from Total Recall as one of the guards.
as
Athletic
Melina.
sleazy.
She really gets sidelined in this movie.
She
Yeah.
also
She
gets
really-
well because she's like beside Bubba basically. Well, they're like a team, and
Well,
they're like we're
there's-
stuck here.
There's one
She's
point.
basically the I need to be saved by Nick Cage at the end of the film.
Exactly. Like she comes back into the movie, and I was like, "Holy shit, where's she been?" I thought, I missed her dying or something like that. And
Yeah.
she really only serves to be kind of like rescued by Nicolas Cage from
This
Danny
movie
Trejo.
doesn't have a lot of positive female characters.
Got no
but
time
it's
for women in
okay.
this. This is
it's
like
it's about prisoners.
Testosterone is spraying off the
But
screen.
she's thrown around so much in this movie just as a tool. Like, I need you to do something. Well, I'm going to threaten this woman.
yeah,
you
but she
know?
kind of gives as good as she takes.
Well,
And-
she hits Cyrus later, which is nice. And as far as women go, you've got the little girl later who's a terrible actress.
My dad is Cameron Poe. I've been
And you
writing.
have
no,
Nick
not that
Cage's
girl.
wife.
Oh,
Yeah, Nick
Uh,
Cage's wife.
And
Monica
she,
Potter.
like in Michael Bay / Jerry Bruckheimer film, she's only allowed to stand in the command center and look worried about her husband.
Yeah. No, his daughter doesn't really say anything. I meant the little girl in the pool who talks to Steve Buscemi.
oh,
Wait, why do you have a problem with the little girl that talks to Steve
I just
Buscemi?
thought she was a bad actress. That's my only problem.
April's writing an IMDb review being like, I enjoyed all of it except for that
What
little
was
girl.
Steve
It's like weird
Buscemi's,
hills to
like,
die on
Steve
sometimes.
Buscemi.
Well, this is we need like a sound effect of like April's hill to die on every episode.
it's so bizarre sometimes. I can never predict it.
Did Steve Buscemi have a character nickname? Like, he had a name.
It was just Garland Green. I
Right, so he
think.
didn't have like a.
Oh, he had a name. It
Disney.
was like the Mangler of something, and
Yeah.
I missed it. Yeah.
I love how when they bring him on halfway through the movie, they kind of stop off at this like in the middle of a sandstorm. It looks like, and they pick up MC Gainey and
Yes, that's right.
But they bring out Steve Buscemi. He looks like Hannibal Lecter. He's got like
He's the
mask
Marietta
on.
Mangler is his name.
I love how they bring him out, and you're like, who the hell is it going to be? And then it's revealed to be Steve Buscemi. And I love how like jumpy everybody is around him.
They're like, oh no, he killed 30 people.
And it's like
Yeah.
it's Steve Buscemi. A stiff wind could blow him over.
I know, but
I mean, he does look like a serial killer. Let's be honest.
There is
like,
one
look at
point,
him.
I
Look at
think
his face.
He kind of sits next to Nicolas Cage and Bubba Gump there, and he kind of like just turns to talk to them. And I swear, Nicolas Cage like, oh, he like jumps.
Well, I mean, the movie gets going right away. All the prisoners get on the plane,
jailbird.
and they escape basically instantly the second they're in the air.
I didn't see
Yeah.
the plane take off, and I'm like,
Yeah,
are
it's
they
like
even
they're
in the
still
air?
taking off. Like they haven't even taken off yet, and they're already taking over the plane.
Yeah, it's like Dave Chappelle. First of all, he's just like insulting this
Pinball.
Native American guy sitting
Oh
next to him.
yeah, I didn't like that. And then he like gets burnt. I mean, he gets his revenge later, but you know.
I guess, but he he pulls out like this little thing of gasoline, squirts it on the guy, lights him on fire, and then hijinks.
Yeah, they sneak some like picks in. They pick their locks. They beat up a couple guards and take over the plane. And
Yeah, there's a DEA agent that gets taken out very quickly.
Oh yeah, okay, so
Cole Meany's partner.
yeah, we're introduced to Cole Meany. First of all, he pulls up in this like sweet vintage
Yeah.
Corvette or
Sorry.
something.
And it's a classic Three Stooges setup, which is like, I hope nothing happens to this really good car.
But he says something, and I remember him having a bad accent in this movie, and it
Well, he can't hide his natural accent.
Irish
That's-
people is very, very difficult, and he I swear to God,
Any
he has
like
like
European, British, Irish, Scottish accent, they always kind of they talk really low when they
Irish
do their
and
American
Scottish
accent.
are very difficult to hide, especially like Jerry B and
But like
Cole
his
Meany here.
Brooklyn or whatever doesn't really even sound
He's talking like with a
Brooklyn.
thick New York accent. He's like, "Oh, we took his fucking car," and then I swear to God,
He just sounds like himself, though.
and then he loses it. And then April was like, "Wow, I can't believe this is halfway through the movie. I can't believe they let him speak in his natural accent." I'm like, "What are you talking about? He's American."
That's the classic Jerry Butler conundrum.
Yeah. What was the word that he said that was like, okay, he said that like with an Irish accent?
Oh, I can't remember.
what
I
it
can't
was,
remember.
But it was like he couldn't help it.
It wasn't like moral or
No, I
moral.
forget. Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, he kind of
Murderer, that's what it was. He said he's a
Moiderer.
moiderer.
Do you want to do another one?
That was
Mr. Meany? No. Why do you think they call me Mr. Meany?
Mr.
That's not my
Meany.
real name. It's a nickname.
I sat next to him at a bar in L.A.
And it was like, oh, you fucking piece of
No,
shit.
I bet he was very nice.
Well, I didn't. We talked to him for a bit. I stayed with my aunt and uncle who lived in LA for a while, and they said they would always go to this British pub, and they're like, Cole Meany's always there. And it was just
playing into his own
it
stereotypes.
was just their local. I think it was called like the Robin Hood pub or something in LA. And he would always we sat at the end of the bar, and he sat 90 degrees from us, just sitting at the bar, and he would just chain smoke these unfiltered Marlboros while drinking and just watching TV in this like black leather jacket. And then I think we were like we got chatting to him or something like that. Like we're like, hey, we saw the Van the other night. It was like some Irish film that he did, and he was like, oh, if you like that one, like check out this other film, blah 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 blah.
Con Air.
If you like that one, check out Con Air.
I didn't even know he was in Con Air.
I play a New York person.
Yeah. Okay, so I do have like some questions about the plot, which is a lot of plot in this that I apparently missed because I was really tired when I watched this yesterday.
Oh no, were you popping
No,
what are the Cheetos? Or what made you
It was a
sleep
time
last?
change. That's what made me tired.
Okay.
Why is the DEA there?
Well, Cole Meany doesn't trust John Cusack's plan, so he wants a backup.
Well,
And that's why he puts him on the plane.
Yeah, so they were trying to get information from a Mexican drug lord that's on the plane.
So they're not only just transporting prisoners, it's also like a sting?
Yeah, so they sneak another DEA agent onto the plane before everybody boards. They dress him up, and then they're like, okay, we're going to sit you right next to this guy. We'll give you a tape recorder, try to get some info out of him. And so,
okay, so that's what that was all
yeah,
about.
and then Cole Meany hands the guy a gun, and John Cusack's like, no guns on the plane, like nobody
Yeah,
carries
you
guns.
shouldn't do that, even though that the guards have guns, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah.
They do, yeah, and
So it doesn't matter if there's another gun. Come on,
as we
man.
find out later, the entire
'Cause
cargo section is full of guns.
Yeah, well, I get the thought a prisoner could take it or whatever. And then, like, John Cusack is like, it's your fault because you gave him a fucking gun.
Yeah, so Cole Meany takes him aside right before he boards, and he's like, kind of patting him down, and then he sneaks the gun into his like ankle holster.
There's a lot of moving parts to this movie.
There is, yeah.
Also,
It's airtight, April. Airtight.
Airtight.
Just like the plane's cockpit.
Con Air.
It's weird that it never really depressurizes in this movie. You'd expect that something like that to happen, and then being like, and I don't know.
Do they go high
Anti-gravity?
enough? Do you have to?
That would cost
Yeah, you have
too
to go to a
much.
certain altitude. I can't say altitude, right?
It doesn't seem like that type of plane, but I don't know. It just looks like some shitty old cargo plane from like the 1960s.
Well, the whole concept is very convoluted, but also
Why would you put all the murderers on one
Yeah.
plane?
Well, I don't really fully understand John Malkovich's plan. I know that like they were going to meet up with the drug lord's pals after Carson City at that like abandoned junkyard, but like then what? Were they just going to?
They're flying to Mexico.
Oh right.
Yeah, they said a country with no extradition.
Yeah, so they're
That'll never stick.
they're flying down. I guess John Malkovich like made a deal with this like Mexican cartel guy. Like, hey, you're gonna
Right.
meet down here. I'll get you out. You fly me and like a few people in your private jet to Mexico.
So all the other prisoners were just gonna
Yeah.
eventually get picked
It's
up.
gonna ditch them.
Right.
What are we going to do in Mexico? I don't know the language. How do I make money? This is a problem.
I did
I-
not
That's
sing.
what Con Air 2 is about.
I was
did not
studying
think this
Spanish.
through.
They found that out in the.
Yeah, that doesn't really pay off, does it? Unless I missed
We're
it.
jumping all around here, but after they initially take over the plane, John Cusack goes to his John Malkovich's prison cell, and he finds his like secret plan in this really complicated like code thing that has like a picture of the 7 apostles
With their eyes cut out.
yeah, and it ends up being a cutout like code on this like letter in Spanish, I believe, that says where they're going. And
I don't know
it's
why
kind
he
of
would leave
interesting.
that. Well, also,
There's a bomb in there,
Also,
too.
it's buried in the wall, and
I'm not sure how he did that.
he's fixed the wall and then also painted it to
Yeah.
match the rest of the cinder blocks.
But I guess
on this wall
he
somehow.
had access to some construction materials.
Sure, why even leave it there? Just
Yeah,
plant
and
a
then there's
bomb.
that really cool scene where the John Cusack's like, "Don't touch anything," and the guy goes and he opens the box. Like, but he said not to touch anything. There's a bomb in there, and this like CGI metal door flies through the hallway and just narrowly misses.
It was like the
John
train
Cusack.
coming at people back in 97. We were all like, ah!
It did look a little 3D movie-esque, I have to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for the most part, though, the effects are there's some model stuff towards the end, when it crashes into Las Vegas. But I don't think this was the era of like CG planes.
No, there's not anything that I noticed
And
as it
everything
happened.
really holds up in
It
this
really
movie.
looks
Like
great.
it looks really good. There's the odd like kind of blue screen when
The car on the plane.
or they're like flying in, the helicopters and
Yeah,
they have to
the
stick a background
backgrounds.
in there, but everything else looks really, really good.
It really does hold up, and small little touches like when the plane with the it's going to take off, and then there's gasoline everywhere, and then John Malkovich throws his cigarette on it, and then they cut to a close up, and it's like a giant cigarette that
It's like
prop.
forced perspective prop.
Yeah.
It looked
From
like
Torque.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little bit Torque.
I wrote down Torque. Yeah, the guy says, "Sigh, Onara."
There's a lot of really dumb one-liners.
Do you think they got that joke and worked their way backwards?
Yeah,
They're
John-
like, we need a guy whose name is Cy. All right. What can it
John
be?
Cusack's
Onara.
like, I keep changing this line. I can't remember it. It's one line. I wonder how big that cigarette butt is. I would love to see.
Do you
I'm
think it's in like
imagining
a
it's like-
Planet Hollywood somewhere?
You know what?
Hanging out?
I want to try to like look through, my Cinefex collection and see if I can find. It's like this.
They probably did Con Air, right? It was a pretty big movie.
Oh yeah. They would do anything.
But due to all this practical effects is, I think, the reason why it still looks the way it does.
Yeah,
now.
it looks-
If they had done CGI planes all over the place, it would look horribly dated.
And I'm surprised. I think like, for a Bruckheimer production, it like I said, it doesn't have that obnoxious like editing style. Everything is like really well directed and shot. And it doesn't have that a very dated color correction. Like I feel if this was done, early 2000s and like
Well, yeah, be blown out. Like, look at Bad Boys 2 or something.
yeah, like
that.
you give it to Tony Scott or something, and it would end up looking like Domino or whatever. Or it's just like, oh god.
And the camera would be shaking all over the place,
Yeah, I
like
think it's-
flash
Yeah,
frames.
it's really well shot, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel dated. In that
I guess
respect.
it would basically look like Gone in 60 Seconds, a Bruckheimer production starring Nick Cage, written by the guy who did Con Air.
Really?
That's what
Yes.
Disney Plus recommended we watch right after.
I've never seen that.
No, me neither.
Not very good. Or Swordfish. You guys remember Swordfish?
I
I
remember
do, but I
Swordfish.
never saw that all the way. Actually, I don't
There's
think
a
I saw
scene
it
where
all.
Hugh Jackman gets a
Yeah.
blowjob and has to hack as John Travolta
It's
watches
the only
it.
thing I feel like anybody remembers from that movie.
Oh, it opens
Halle
with
Berry's boobs.
probably
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the most blatant explosion Matrix ripoff shots ever.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
It's all those like metal pellets,
Ball
or
bearings.
Yeah.
Isn't it
Yep.
funny how when something really big comes out, you get all like the copycats
Oh, yeah.
afterwards? And The Matrix was a very big.
I mean, The Matrix defined
Oh my God.
action cinema for like a decade after it came
like
out.
speed ramping. Thank you.
Oh
Matrix.
God!
I hate-
India's still into speed ramping. They're still doing
wouldn't
the
say
Zack
I
Snyder.
hate speed ramping, but I actually love it when it's done in a movie appropriately. I hate it when.
Speed
Yeah, like The
ramp.
Last Airbender.
Well, I hate it when no, it's in The Last Airbender. Sorry, it's in Avatar: The Last Airbender, all over the place, and it's used correctly in the animation.
Oh, you mean the M Night movie? That's
No,
what I'm
I
talking
mean
about.
it's actually used. Actually, it's used more in The Legend of Korra because there'll be like an action scene, and then something really, and it does slow down, so you can see this
Sorry.
small thing happen.
April, as you went into the details, my eyes were rolling and they shot out of my head. When you got it. No, excuse me. It's actually in The Legend of Korra.
And if you want to talk about the fight scenes in Avatar and The Legend of Korra, I could do a whole podcast about that.
You know what? I still haven't watched it. I have Blu-rays of both series sitting on
You
my
haven't
shelf.
watched the original?
Nope.
Oh man, you got to, and then you got to watch Legend of Korra too.
Someone's got to force you.
Okay,
To,
I'll get to it.
Someone's got to force you to watch those while you're getting a blowjob and having a
It's a children's
And
show.
John
Colin.
Travolta looks on.
sweat
He's like,
gotta
I'm
give
like,
this guy
put the wig
blowjob."
on, John. I need to see you the way that I love you.
Okay, so
He's got to hack this thing
I'm
and
just
watch
gonna go.
Avatar.
I mean, I don't really have I'm gonna pick something as my favorite part, but overall, I liked this movie really a lot. So I'm not saying that this is anything better than. There's so many good things to pick from this movie. I'm gonna go with what I'm gonna read as an early transgender character. Sally Can't Dance.
Sally can't
I
dance.
think
That's
their
your
name?
favorite thing?
I think I'm just pointing it out. Is that their name?
Sally can't.
Yes,
dance.
Sally
just Sally
Can't Dance is how the
So-
credits
so
credit the character.
They pick up this character in the second bout of Prisoners, but we don't know anything about who they are, where they came from. But it's clearly an early depiction of a transgendered woman, because they go and they find a suitcase and they're like, oh my God, yes, a dress. Now I can be, myself. And then they're dancing around, and it's a pretty positive depiction, because nobody is getting.
Okay.
I was just saying, nobody is giving them a hard
Justin.
time. They're not like.
That's true. I
They're
would
not
say.
like throwing things at her or like calling them names, and they're just like, yeah, woo, and they're. I bet Dave Chappelle really hated that character.
Well, he was dead.
Just joking.
Thankfully, he was dead by that point. Okay, one of my favorite scenes, I thought it was so funny, was Dave Chappelle's death and subsequent
corpse finding.
I love how much it committed to that dummy.
It was so funny because
The wax museum dummy.
but not only like the little he's running alongside the plane. They kind of take off and ditch him at the first stop.
The Native American guy is like,
He's like looking out the window, and you see Dave Chappelle like kind of fall.
he's like, come on, man.
And then later on in the movie, was it dive?
He falls like like a Wild Hogs movie or something like that. Like his falls like, whoa!
It's very cartoony.
So you don't know what happened. You assume he just.
So you're like, oh, he
fell.
just tripped or something. And then later on in the movie, Diamond Dog forces Nick Cage to go down to like the cargo bay or something because the landing gear won't go up. Mm-hmm. And they find Dave Chappelle's corpse. It's so funny.
He's like he's like frozen in a screen.
But he's like curved around the tire.
How did he even die? Like, what part of him got crushed?
Maybe he got run over by the wheel and then he kept like spinning in it, I guess.
But he wouldn't be like in this like rigor mortis. Who knows?
Did you want to see him like flatten like in Who
Yes.
Framed
He's
Roger
probably
Rabbit?
frozen. It's very cold up there. But it's like a Wile E. Coyote because he's like,
Yes, it
he's
is.
like stuck to the wheel. But then
And then they ditch the body.
Nick Cage writes like a note on his shirt, and then
to John Cusack.
yeah, and then he pushes him off the plane, and which leads to a really funny scene. It's the general from Twin Peaks. He's like driving with his.
I think his wife is a character actress as well. I can't
and they're like
remember.
stopped in traffic, but just like the shot of Dave Chappelle falling.
It's pretty funny.
Following his body.
Yeah.
But it's like
we see it from
above.
Yeah.
Okay, so the car gets shit on by birds, and the wife is like, "That's good luck." I have never heard that before.
Oh, I've heard
Have
that,
you?
but I don't agree with it.
I've heard like getting shit on by a bird like on your head is good luck or something.
I think that's something they just say to make you feel better.
Yeah.
I've also been
to
told
make him feel better.
Yeah.
if you get shit in your mouth, then it's extra good luck.
Again, something
Also, you
that
get a
people
brain
just
parasite.
made up.
That's why Colin goes out every morning, just opens his mouth wide and tilts his head back to the
All
sky.
right, who here has been shit on by a bird?
Well, everybody has.
I haven't.
I don't think I
haven't
have.
Had, like,
I'm trying to think about it.
On-skin contact.
Mainly just like jacket and hair, I think.
Not on my hair either, but I think it was like last year.
I tried to get it in
I
my
got
mouth,
it on
but-
my arm.
Yeah, Colin was like, ah.
On my winter coat, and I was like, well,
Colin has one of those funnels that's like really big and like goes to his mouth.
There's this, there's like a what is it, like a train overpass right by us that we have to take to get to like our, I don't know, just like a grocery to like Liberty Village.
that's where I get
It's
to
kind
go
of
to
around
the
corner.
gym in the
But you have to
morning.
walk under this this train bridge, and it's so gross.
There's
And then-
not that many birds in there as there used to be.
Okay, Justin.
Because April went out with her gun. And she's like,
No, they're in there, but there's not. It's not like you're in danger of getting shot on every time you go through there.
I'm always pulling you out of the way. April is like
I've
always.
never been shot on ever since I've lived here,
because
and I
I
go
always
through
pull
there
you.
twice a day.
so wait, is Colin like pushing April, taking it himself?
She's never
with
paying
a bullet?
attention. So basically,
No!
they put up these like railings above the walkway. So there's always pigeons on these things. And when I started going this route, because I used to work in that direction, the sidewalk and the railings were just covered.
Well,
caked
they
in
didn't
shit.
have it like as blocked off as they do now. So now there's only like a tiny little section where pigeons can sit on. It used to be, I'm sure.
There's still tons of pigeon
Didn't you
shit.
say you used to have to put an umbrella up when you were walking through the tunnel?
No, I would always have to.
I do not believe.
Maybe I just saw somebody.
It was so disgusting. Yeah. So I'm constantly aware of like pigeons and yeah. April, you never pay attention. You just walk under these things.
Well, I haven't been shot on under that tunnel yet.
Yeah, because I'm always pulling you out of the way.
Well, not in the morning when I'm by myself.
Yeah, but you're just thinking in your head, Colin going, April.
Maybe there's just
She's
less
like
pigeons.
like a force ghost.
pigeon
Where
shit.
you're like, get out of the way.
Oh, so this is
April."
funny. My friend Paul, who may or may not listen to this podcast, he used to live in this apartment building, and he had this like balcony, concrete balcony, And I guess like pigeons just took over this balcony, and the whole balcony was just covered in pigeon shit, like just caked with it. And he had his, the little air conditioners that you mount on your window, so it like suck air in, I guess, from the balcony. So he started waking up with like his whole face would just be like inflamed. One morning.
My God,
like his lip was
no.
giant. He took a picture of it, and it was crazy. I'm like, what's the hell? And he goes, I started showing up to work, and it's like my face, whole side of my face would be inflamed. And then he's like, I think it's like this pigeon shit. Like it's getting sucked in somehow through the air conditioner and getting blasted onto my face while I sleep. And then so he went out and like deep cleaned his whole scraped off like garbage bags full of like pigeon shit off this thing, and then it was still happening, and then he realized it was just a new hair gel that he started using.
Oh, it wasn't the pigeons after all.
So he thought that he was like swallowing pigeon shit.
I was like looking.
all
I was
night?
looking it up, and I'm like, oh my God, they have so many parasites in their shit, and it's like toxic and all this stuff.
Yeah, if you breathe in the pigeon shit, they lay pigeon eggs under your skin, and pigeons are going to be bursting out
So
of
yeah,
you.
he was just like had this new hair gel, and he was sleeping on his pillow, and I guess would get it onto his face.
and rolling around in it at night.
And
Okay,
he turned into like a Dick Tracy character.
big lips. Yeah.
Where are we at?
So where are we in Con Air?
Oh, we're at,
Have they made it to Las Vegas yet?
Put the bunny back in the box.
Oh, I love the bunny. Supposedly a Nick Cage addition to the movie.
Good addition.
Yep. That Nick Cage wants to bring his daughter, a little bunny that I guess he bought at the prison commissary, because he's like, it was either this or I don't remember what the other thing
It was
was.
either that or some mint julep. I was going to bring her back.
I said, boy. And this movie was originally supposed to end with the plane crashing into the White House.
What?
Yep, that's what I read online.
Oh, that's great.
But supposedly it was decided by Jerry Bruckheimer, it would make more sense to go to Las Vegas to fit the tone of the movie, which, you know what? I agree with.
It works. Yeah, so there are some funny scenes, like they take the transponder, the FBI agents are like tracking the plane, and then at one point the bad guys take the transponder off the plane and swap it onto like some tour plane. It's like a little Cessna that they give like canyon tours in.
The tour was apparently going for like an hour.
Uncle Bob's Scenic Tours.
They're like, we've been following this plane for 45 minutes. Cole Meany is very upset in this movie.
He's a very angry man in this movie.
And who's the other guy? Like the older gentleman.
I recognize him from something, and I don't know.
That man is John Cusack, April. I know he doesn't look as...
Well, basically the whole movie, John Cusack is doing, the right thing, and Cole Meany is doing the wrong thing. And
John Cusack has hated every movie he's ever been in.
You know what?
Okay, so it's not just this.
It seems like he feels like he's too good for these things.
Yes.
And you can see it in the roles that he plays, where he's like this super educated, sarcastic, like angry
Does he think
person.
he's better than all of these terrible movies?
He's like, I just want every movie I make to be American Sweethearts. Why can't it be American Sweethearts?
Remember he did that like Edgar Allan Poe movie?
Oh, the Raven.
Yeah, the action Edgar Allan Poe movie.
Is that what you like?
The Raven.
If he's so above these movies, then don't take these roles.
Oh, he needs cash.
Yeah, he needs cash.
He needs to
He
buy
has
more
bills to pay.
He needs to buy more dictionaries.
I mean, he's in like 2012, Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, man, that movie sucked.
Yeah, he should not be throwing stones here. Whatever.
Drive Hard, that Brian Trenchard Smith movie co-starring Thomas Jane.
What?
Yeah,
I mean, John Cusack is in DTV land. Like, he appears as a do-rag in the movie Arsenal, where he co-stars with Nick Cage
He was
again.
in Cell too. We actually, if you're a Patreon subscriber, we did a Q&A. I think our last Q&A, which is the Q&A number 2, someone said favorite John Cusack roles, and we were like, what has he even been in? So we spent like 10 minutes talking about John Cusack on that. If you want to hear that, subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah, he looks like a pile of coats.
You know what? The last role I remember him being committed in is the Jackie Chan film Dragon Blade, where he actually fights Jackie Chan, and he does the real fighting. And I read an interview with John Cusack, and he said he was very excited to be in the movie, because why wouldn't you be? You get to fight Jackie Chan.
And then he saw it, and he's like, I hate it.
Well, I mean,
Probably.
he
stormed out of the screening angrily.
I guess he just takes himself too seriously
In his big, long, wrinkled trench coat.
Yeah, John Cusack is also someone who's always like not picking fights, but getting into fights on Twitter, famously.
Oh, probably. He's such a wise ass. But I just like, all I can think of is anytime he gets too like, arrogant or aloof, just show him that it was like the effects reel from 2012. And it's just him like driving in his limo,
Like, and there's nothing
on a blue screen, and they're just like these gaffers are just like rocking the limo, and he's just like, whoa, whoa.
Well,
Now
that means
that's
he's a great actor.
And it just went on and on and on.
I mean, this movie is a lot of him just running around.
Yeah, it is. It's
Running
funny.
from place to place. Maybe there's more practical sets, but it is just a lot of him going, ah! It's a lot of him yelling.
Yeah, there is.
And that's kind of it. Not to say it's not, like I said, I think he's great in this, but maybe he just doesn't like this type of movie.
He probably doesn't like the fact that he has to do these types of movies to make money or something.
But
like
he's
that.
not like some like indie darling.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if he was, he should make those movies. Not the ones that. Yeah, you look at his filmography.
Like High
and
Fidelity was kind of,
Yeah, but I mean,
Grosse Point Blank, that's good.
Grosse Point Blank, yeah. That was more of a personal movie
seen
for
that,
him,
don't
right?
really know what that's about.
1408 with,
Identity.
I love 1408.
where he's attacked by Benny
I always get
Benny Urquidez.
1408 and Identity mixed up. They seem like the same movie.
We've got to watch
He plays
Identity.
the sniper in Grand Piano, the film where Elijah Wood has to play the piano without missing a note,
my
or he'll be shot by John Cusack.
God.
Cool.
Good movie. Alex Winter is John Cusack's crony in that film, like another one of the bad guys.
Oh my God.
Alex Winter from like the
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, yep.
music group.
And director of many documentaries,
Oh,
including
sorry.
that one on Zappa.
I was thinking of
from the Bill
I
and
was
Ted
thinking
music
of
group.
Edgar Winter. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
The musician? The guy who
Yeah.
did that Frankenstein
Yes, I was
song?
thinking of Edgar Winter from
Yeah,
the
so-
Edgar Winter group.
They're the
Alex
same
Winter
person,
from Wild
April. You're
Stallions.
right.
Okay.
So at the end of the movie, the plane comes down in Las Vegas, crashes. Great miniatures.
This is great.
So
this
the
is
only
so
reason
good.
they had to go to Vegas was because the whole Mexico plan went to shit. They came, they killed a lot of cops that showed up. They were able to do that, and they were able to just take off in time. And their new plan is just land in Vegas because that's the only
on
fuel.
the Vegas Strip.
It's the fuel they have left, and MC Gainey is like driving the plane.
He's a madman. Swamp Thing, his name is.
Swamp Thing.
Yeah, so
He's
they-
just playing himself, MC Gainey.
Yeah, and this whole sequence, it's really, really good. Now, I was saying to April, like, this is kind of like pre-CGI everything, so obviously they can't show it crashing into buildings and stuff, but they showed little segments of that. So it's kind of like a testament to how good the editing is and how well everything is like pieced together that it
Well,
kind of
supposedly they did crash a model plane into a real building.
They did, yeah.
That was about to be demolished, I think I read.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was a casino, but they also had it was a set,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the miniature stuff. So they had like certain sections that the plane comes through, like the Hard Rock Cafe sign and stuff like that.
Yeah, take that, Hard Rock. And they just missed Circus, but you see it, so you know it's there.
Yeah, I mean, we were laughing because like during this sequence when it's landing, it seems to change sizes a lot. So it's like this perspective, it's the size of like 3 buildings, and then it's like in between. It's on a street. Like,
Have you guys ever been to Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our.
Do you like it?
Oh, it was
was
your
really
last
fun.
vacation. I went somewhere after that, pre-COVID, but
Yeah, it's really fun.
yeah, I had a great time. I would love to go back. You've been there,
Yeah,
right?
I went.
Right, Justin?
Yeah, I did go. I don't like gambling, so I didn't play any games.
It's not really my thing, and I didn't think I would like it, but we went with
But I
friends.
loved it.
I ended up loving it, actually.
Yeah,
gambling.
we kind of went with friends who have been there a million times, so they kind of showed us all the cool places to go.
I wish I could have seen a show like April knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
The what magician is it that has the show where Ron Paul plays like an alien?
Oh my God! What?
David Copperfield.
David Copperfield, yeah. And what's the name of the alien again? Who's like he's like
What?
No,
Yeah,
I know
it's
what you're talking
supposedly-
about. I can't remember what it's called.
it's insane. The alien's like, "Don't you want to see your father, David? Let me show you your father."
No, that's one thing we didn't get to do is we didn't get to see a show.
Well, we
I mean,
had our eye on this German magician Hans Klock.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we were there for like 4 days. You really have to be selective. You can't do everything. So that's why I would love to go back.
Me and Emily went to the Pinball Hall of Fame.
Ooh,
Great time.
I wish
Oh,
we got
yeah.
to do that.
We went to.
Oh
the,
yeah, voiced by Ron Paulson, not Ron Paul, the like
senator?
libertarian
Ron Paulson, the
politician.
voice
Yeah.
actor.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I wanted to
But it's
go
like a little animatronic alien. Oh, I want to see that show so
What
bad.
was the Neon Graveyard? Is it?
Yeah, it was a place. Well, we didn't go. So.
It's like that junkyard where they have all the old signs, like the neon signs.
That sounds like
We
fun.
didn't get to go.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and you can get like a tour and stuff like that. We went to the Hoover Dam.
Oh yeah, we did Hoover Dam.
We
That
went
was great.
We went to some like horror museum.
But it was very, very small.
It's very small, but it was cool. It had all these props from like horror movies.
I just don't like going in the casino and seeing all the people on life support, like pulling the slot machines.
Yeah,
You gotta
and if you-
ignore
waiting to
that.
die.
if you
Look at
don't
the
like
glitz and
cigarette or
glamour.
cigar smoke, it's like do not go there.
Man, you think that's bad?
Oh
You
my
should see
God.
what the like local casinos are like. Like those
What,
are
in
really,
Toronto?
Well, no, I'm talking about the one that's near my hometown. But
Oh.
like yeah, there's casinos. There's one in Ajax that just opened.
Hey, shouldn't we get a casino soon on the waterfront? Doug Ford keeps promising it. And
According to him, it's coming.
God
the
almighty.
biggest
Hopefully
Ferris
he's done.
wheel you've ever seen.
God.
Anyway, this plane crashing scene is really, really funny because it's like it crashes like into a casino, but the way they shoot it, it's like, well, maybe no one actually got hurt.
And this is my favorite thing is that like the crash happens, there's like a fight, and you think the movie's over,
Oh, yeah.
but it's only getting
There's a
started.
This is
whole
amazing.
other
Yeah.
sequence, and I love that. Like after this whole crash happens, they notice that Cyrus is getting away. So
Yeah, but it feels like it's done because you
Yeah.
see like Nick Cage talking, you see like the police and stuff.
yeah,
Like,
but yeah, they save Bubba. I think
Mm-hmm.
he gets wheeled into an ambulance.
Yeah, so Swamp Thing, they steal a fire truck, and then you see like Cyrus being very, I don't know, very obvious.
Walking away.
He's,
And
like,
then
hanging around on the
Nick,
ladder.
Nick Cage and John Cusack both get on matching motorcycles.
I love how they look at each other and they're like, yeah, and the score just swells.
Yeah, they may as well just high five.
Yeah, they really should.
And then they take
Yeah,
off
just
kind
they
of above it.
slap dicks.
So they
They're like, yeah.
they take off after this this fire truck, and I swear to you, they go into that tunnel. I swear this tunnel is in L.A. It's a very famous tunnel in L.A. It's in Blade Runner. It's like all kind of like glazed tile, like all the way around it. It's very reflective. So I'm pretty sure this is the tunnel from L.A. So
it
they
probably is.
Yeah, that's how long the chase goes on. They
Well,
And
drive-
it's
yeah.
a great chase. Ving
goes on
Rhames
forever.
gets crushed by a car, motorcycle.
I don't know what
he
happens.
screams and explodes.
Yeah, he screams and explodes, and I
Yeah.
could not figure out what killed him.
And then it's just John Malkovich and MC Gainey.
Yeah, so John Malkovich takes I think Nicolas Cage shoves like a broom handle or something through his like leg or whatever.
Yeah.
And then doesn't he? This is an amazing death scene. It's so good.
It's pretty funny. Well, like he handcuffs him to. Oh wait, no. Before that, they stole a fire truck. So
He's like spraying him with water, isn't
yeah,
he?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm so powerful.
Yeah, but then like when Nick Cage gets on the thing or whatever, like he takes the water hose and puts it into the cab where MC Gainey is. So he's like drowning as he's driving.
MC Gainey's only weakness, water, like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable.
Why do you think they call me Swamp
But so he.
No, that just makes him more
Exactly.
powerful.
He starts growing like sprouts and roots and stuff.
He handcuffs John Malkovich to the ladder and,
and then
it
raises
crashes.
raises the ladder up vertically.
It hits a sign and then he flies.
It goes through a bridge, a
Yeah.
pedestrian bridge that's crossing the street.
And so he flies off. So I'm guessing he got removed from the ladder. The ladder flew up, and then he's like lying on the ground. And then
No,
somehow-
lands on electrical cables.
Oh, the electrical.
He's like,
cable.
oh, and then he lands and rolls off, and oh no, I landed in, I guess, the like penny pressing factory or
It's like a conveyor belt
Yeah.
that is leading to like
It's
a rock
Rube
crusher.
Goldberg
Yep.
thing.
It's amazing. I said it was like, was some Wile E. Coyote, again.
Yeah,
Like,
and then it crushes his head.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing is like a close up of a head exploding when it hits.
That's
I
in
just-
the unrated cut.
Yeah, I wanted to see like his eyes pop out of his head or something.
No, I got
Like
the
George
idea.
Miller, like oh.
exactly.
He was a pretty bad guy. He's done everything.
Wait, was it on this
Murdered
podcast that we
Larson.
talked about the ultimate T-shirt, which is a T-shirt that says Miller Time and then the eyes popping out from Road Warrior?
I don't think that was
that'd
us.
be amazing.
That's not our podcast.
He does it in Mad Max as well.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyway, so at the end of the movie, Nick Cage meets his daughter, and she's like, "Are you my daddy?"
Oh, you my dada. And I was laughing
She
so
seems
hard.
very uncomfortable.
He's got this like old ratty, filthy like bunny rabbit,
yeah.
but he's like, he's all nervous and he goes, "I got a present for you, Casey."
How do I live without you?
I want to.
And I love, he's like kissing Monica Potter, and they're all hugging and everything. And then John Cusack is kind of like watching them from across the road, like
A tear rolling down his cheek,
He's
and
like-
then he kind of like fades away, and you realize John Cusack was an alien from the future the
Should
entire
have said
time.
like parole granted. But I think the credits
or
just.
you're now a free man. Then he like
Yeah.
shoots his handcuffs off.
no, and then he
Yeah.
like puts on this like rumpled old like trench coat and then walks away.
Yeah, into the sunset.
Now, is this movie like a commentary on the prison industrial system?
No.
Well,
Could be.
there was a comment by John Cusack earlier on when he's talking to Colmini, and he's like, so-and-so, is it Cyrus the Virus? He's like a product of the system,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
and
blah.
then Cole Meany's like,
Colmini's like, what are you saying? Like, it's all our fault that these people are like this.
yeah.
Yeah, and at one point, Cole Meany is like, everyone on that plane's an animal.
He's like, what about the guards?
Well, they signed a waiver.
Yeah.
They know what they got
Cole
into.
Meany's really bad at his job.
He wants
he does
to
nothing
nuke
well.
the plane.
He's terrible. And then his plane, spoiler, his car gets destroyed in a very, very funny way.
yeah,
And they're buddies at the end. Like he just like
he has to come around.
It's as if nothing, happens. He's like, sorry about your car, and he gives him the keys.
He's really upset about
He's
his
like,
partner
oh, it's
dying.
all right. Oh wait, what accent was I doing?
Meet me at
that's
the
all
bar. Robin Hood.
It's all right, sir.
I'm gonna chain smoke Marlboros.
Captain.
It's like he's a leprechaun.
I will say, like, Cole Meany, like, does not have like a heavy accent. It's more just like a lilt that I know so well
Yeah,
because
he's
I've
doing a
heard
pretty
him so
good
many
job
times.
compared to
Yeah.
that little girl who's garbage.
We didn't talk
we
about
did-
that scene.
We didn't talk about Steve Buscemi, who gets out at the end to
Yeah.
kill again.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be happy. Didn't he kill like 132 people or like
I think, something like that.
it's so crazy? He's like a mass murderer.
Yeah, well, he has this like weird conversation with this little girl at a trailer park, and you're really led to believe that
That he killed her.
He killed her, and there's like POV, like his POV of the little girl, and it's all like floaty and weird. I'm like, why are you showing this?
Yeah, it's a kind of like uncomfortable.
It's supposed
thing.
to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then you see him walking away with like her doll, and you're like, "Oh God, did we just have like a child murder in this movie?"
But you don't. Do you see the girl again?
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Yeah, you
plane-
do. She waves at the
the
plane.
plane is taking
Okay,
off,
so
and she's
she's fine.
chasing it.
And then at the end of the
Yay!
movie, he's just playing Baccarat. It's like, okay,
My,
I guess.
Just like James Bond.
throwing rocks tonight. Steve
Yeah,
Buscemi is Bond. That would be amazing.
Again, it's just
Oh,
like,
I
what
would
are you
love.
saying?
Like now, he's not too old. He's got at least 10 movies in him.
He's way too ugly to be in a Bond movie. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
No, I love him. I'm just saying that movie has to be filled with beautiful people.
Hey, speaking of bunny rabbits, they had a bunny rabbit in No Time to Die. Remember?
No. Oh,
Remember the
There's a
girl?
bunny
He's-
rabbit.
was he saving a doll at the end of that?
Yeah, at the end. Remember?
Oh, he
right,
was.
right,
Yeah, he had a doll. Okay, yep, that is true. That
you
does
go.
happen in No Time to Die.
And then he
Okay.
goes to the girl. He's like, "Oh, I've got a present for you, Kaiser."
Well, we're like, it's disgusting, and then Nick Cage is like, it's kind of dirty.
It's
Like, thank you for acknowledging that.
Give your dad a hug. And then the movie ends like all great movies do, with like a roll call of everyone that was
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
film,
it's
just
amazing.
smiling and
I
like
love-
pointing in the
I
camera.
Yeah,
love
it's like
that.
Predator. They should do that more. And
Sweet
Oh,
home Alabama.
And it shows their character names too, which is like, because you probably missed it.
And I think it's like Nick Cage, the shot, like the amazing shot where he winks at Ving
Yeah.
Rhames as like the
Yeah.
camera pushes in.
there's
That
like
is such a
two.
good
There's
shot.
two Nicolas Cage gifts from this movie, which are amazing. It was like the wink one, and then
then
just
the-
the one
the
where he's
wind
savoring the wind.
Yeah. So yeah, Con Air, great movie. Also great brand of hair dryers. And
Is there really?
Oh yeah, that's my hair dryer. And my
Oh,
steamer,
that's
all made by
amazing.
Con Air. Con Air makes a lot of high quality
And that was
products.
a spin-off. Is this episode brought to you by Con
Brought
Air?
to you by Con Air.
Con Air. Sponsored
Give
by
us money.
Con Air. For all your hair drying needs.
Yeah,
I mean, they were a spin-off from this movie. That's why they started calling the hairdryers that, based on that scene of Nick Cage.
yeah,
you know,
in the
blowing his
wind.
hair in
Oh,
the
that'd be
Yeah.
amazing. Can you imagine if they got him back to like do an ad and goes, "Hello,
Oh, a Con Air ad?
I'm
Oh, that would
Cameron
be so
Poe.
good. It
I'll-
would be like, have you seen that ad where Bruce Willis like slumps through like a Die Hard ad where he meets up with the limo driver again?
Oh God!
No.
Isn't he like deep
Yeah.
faked or something?
No, it's him. It's him. He's in
okay.
it.
He's deep faking everything these
I
days.
can't believe. Yeah, he's deep faking enthusiasm for being in these movies.
Oh, I would love the deep fakes of Willis. He's like always smiling because they're trying to make him charismatic.
Honestly, they'd be better than his
Rick
performance.
It would just be
Great.
so disturbing.
Anyway,
All right,
Con
anyway.
Air, great movie. It's available right now on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus of all things.
If you're paying the mouse.
That's Star if you're in the United States, I believe.
Yeah, well, we have like a Disney Plus. There's a section on it called Star.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not Stars, just Star. But anyway, it's part of Disney Plus. But it's also available on iTunes. Lots of places. It's a pretty popular movie. So
You're always gonna be able to find this movie anywhere you look.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna speak like a Southern gentleman all night, April.
You cannot be as what. This is better than Nick Cage's accent. I'm gonna say it.
It's like Nick Cage is in the room, though. There you are, Nick. I have so many questions.
Does
Anyway,
anybody know what to do
I'm
with
sorry.
some dinosaurs and amber?
We didn't get to literally everything in this movie because it's just jam packed with too much
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
So
great.
all I can say is just watch
watch
it
it.
yourself.
It's
And
really
if you
fun.
saw it when it came out, and you just kind of wrote it off, I would say give it another chance because it's a lot of fun.
I gotta find out what happened to Simon West. Like why?
Well, maybe you can
didn't
tweet at
continue.
him.
I don't know.
And speaking of Twitter,
Why do you not make good movies anymore, Simon West?
why are you making
just do
movies
shit
for
TV
China?
crap?
Speaking of Twitter, you can find us on Twitter at No Such Thing Pod. You can email us at no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com. We're on patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie, where you can get tons of bonus episodes on various movies, new movies, some old classic bad movies. We did some Q&As on there. If you're on the $5 level, you get access to all of those episodes, and we release a new episode every 2 weeks. And we also have a $2 level where you could be submitted to pick a movie for an episode. And if you want to find me, I'm at Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can find me on Twitter at Decloux, Decloux, and the letter J. Also on Letterboxd, Justin Decloux.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's it for this week. Thanks for dropping by. Make sure you. I got nothing. I can't.
You were trying to set yourself up. Remember to ride Con Air Airways.
I was
There you
trying
go.
to say something like that. I can't. That time change is still really, really affecting me.
Yeah, I'm really tired during the evening now.
Me too.
We're all 70 years old.
It's really 7:00 right now.
Oh, so sleepy.
All right. I'll catch you next week. I'm April Atmansky.
I'm Justin Decloux.
I'm Colin Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie. How do I live without you? That's the real thing.